member for Carleton.
The Prime Minister looked 37 million Canadians in the eye and said, quote, if anyone, including the former Attorney General, had issues with anything they might have experienced in this government, or didn't feel that we were living up to the high standards we set for itself, it was her responsibility to come forward. It was their responsibility to come forward, and no one did. This week, the Prime Minister admitted that statement was false, that in fact his former Attorney General looked him in the eye and warned against him politically interfering in the SNC-Lavalin prosecution. Now that we know the Prime Minister stated this public falsehood, will he allow the Ethics Committee to investigate what others he might have told in this affair?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Madam Speaker, we agree that Canadians should be able to hear the truth for themselves, and that's exactly why the Prime Minister provided an unprecedented waiver. He waived solicitor-client privilege as well as cabinet confidence to satisfy the parameters that the Justice Committee put forward. Madam Speaker, we recognize that it's important that the Justice Committee and all committees be able to do their important work, and that's why the members that represent the government on those committees make their own decisions. That's obviously not the approach of the Conservatives. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
Former PMO puppet master and best friend of the Prime Minister showed up before the Justice Committee and claimed that there was no conversation whatsoever about the inappropriateness of the Prime Minister's political interference in the SNC-Lavalin affair in September, in October, in November, and in December. Yet now we have 41 pages of journal entries, text messages, and audio recordings that show there was nothing but conversation about that political interference. It's documented. Given that this former PMO puppet master lied before the Justice Committee, will the Liberals allow the Ethics Committee to investigate what other falsehoods the government might have told?
The Honourable Official House Leader.
Madam Speaker, what's important to note is why this information that the member is referring to is in public is because the Prime Minister waived solicitor-client privilege as well as cabinet confidence. Madam Speaker, we recognize that Canadians should be able to hear the truth for themselves, and that's why Justice Committee meetings took place in public. We know for over 5 weeks, Justice Committee members asked for witnesses to appear. We know that witnesses appeared, they answered questions. To ensure that Canadians could hear for themselves, this information was made public. Madam Speaker, if the Prime Minister had not waived solicitor-client privilege, that would not be the case. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
The journal entries, text messages, and audio recordings show that there were at least 12 top government officials, including the Prime Minister himself, that interfered in the criminal prosecution of SNC-Lavalin, yet only 2 have appeared. And their appearances were so disastrous that both of them have had to resign from their jobs. The remaining 10 have not been called upon to answer for the interference we know they engaged in as a result of the documented records proving it. Will the government allow the Ethics Committee to continue an investigation bringing them all forward? Thank you.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a redundancy to the questions, as is with the information being provided. But it's important to note why that information is being made public. That information is being made public because the Prime Minister recognizes that Canadians should get to hear the truth for themselves. And that's exactly why he waived solicitor-client privilege as well as cabinet confidence, so that when witnesses appear at the Justice Committee, they would be able to answer and provide the truth to Canadians for Canadians to hear. Thank you, Madam Speaker.